community is one of the hardest things for any business to build, like specifically like podcasting, right? A podcast community, like an audience, building a community of people who support you and support your content is very, very, very hard to do, because it's like, okay, I'm putting all the content out there. It's available on RSS feeds. It's available on YouTube. It's available on TikTok, but everything's kind of segmented. How do you kind of get them all together into like a Patreon or a Discord or like a Slack channel? So what is the first step day one of building a community?
Yeah, honestly, I think my thesis, my frameworks for building community starts with what I would say any founder should do, which is, who is your customer? This person who might come into your community, treat them like a customer, treat them like someone who has options, can buy your thing, can spend their time with you, can spend their time with someone else. And then think about what do they need and want and where are they going and how can you help them get there? The thing you offer to them, the thing that should be really valuable, should be something they really want. That's where you start. You start with, I'm giving you something you need, want, desire. And I'm going to get you in with that. It's an exchange. It's very simple, breaking it down, right? So you're selling the thing and you're offering the thing, that thing being community, just the same way someone else might sell soap and someone else might sell software. You're selling community. So I think all communities start with that premise of like, what's the thing? What are you coming for? Then you have a bit of a chicken and egg problem, right? Which is, okay, let's say I'm selling this thing and a lot of people want it. Well, they kind of like can sniff out that it's not really real yet, right? There's no one there. So how do you start the party is maybe the other more fundamental question. Is if you figured out what you're doing and for who and what it's going to be like inside, and let's say people start to want it, it's pretty natural for someone to want it, but then not come because, again, chicken and egg, right? So cracking the chicken and egg problem, the way we did it at day one, frankly, was we just put up an application. One, we were playing at the right time. So we were riding a wave, right? This was absolutely the right time. 2020, summer of 2020 was absolutely the right time to launch day one. We put a landing page up and said, hey, we're going to launch our first cohort in September. Who wants in, right? And got the word out far and wide just through social media. We launched on product hunts, very standard stuff to get the word out. And we got a bunch of people to apply. Right. So now no one knew that no one else was there, but we basically, faked it. Right. We said, hey, this is going to be real. It's going to be freaking awesome. We had some cool supporters. We had some people promoting it. The vibes were right. And so we had like 50 people join that first cohort. And now all of a sudden we're there. We have this community of 50 people. They were the only 50, but they went through a program. They got to know each other. And then we did it again and again and again. So one strategy, it's not for every community, is to onboard people cohorts at a time, right? Where you basically, anyway, I'm getting really tactical and that's probably not quite where we need to take it. But, building community is super tough. I think people who want to start a community do get stuck at that exact moment I described, which is like, sweet, I've got a thing, now I have 10 people. It's really lame. And I'm like very conscious of that. And I'm self-conscious of that. And I don't want to. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like you kind of have to either like muscle through that lame period and like go hang out with those 10 people one-on-one and make it like a fun place to be and just grow it a person at a time, or do a little bit of what we did, which is like try to get a bigger group all at once. And then you just got to operate the community like you're operating frankly, a product, right? It's like you're selling, again, you're doing a service, you're selling something. It can't just be hanging out, right? What is happening? What are you doing for them? Anyway, lots of thoughts on community. It's definitely an important aspect. Maybe it's overused sometimes. I think it's still really valuable. I think people need it, want it. It's just, how are they getting it? Is it online? Is it in person? Is it, who knows, right? So
it's valuable and it works, right? Obviously, that's because duh. That's like a duh statement. It's valuable and it works. But the hardest part of community is, one, having the people, because there are plenty of communities out there like a Slack channel or a Discord that just are inactive. Including the person who founded it, right? It's just there with a bunch of people who are just kind of ghosts. So, but it sounds like to me like you kind of built your community based off network within a network. Everyone's kind of got their networks together, and got that strong foundation. Now, you can easily say everyone needs a community, but you need the people to be there first. Like when should someone pull the trigger? Because you don't want to pull it and no one's there.
Yeah, I would say it's also in some ways you can't. I saw someone else tweet this. I have no idea who. Sorry, I'm not going to give credit, but I'm also going to butcher it. So you don't like make community, you like
Right.
find it, right?
Exactly.
And you just capture some of the energy. So I do think the energy and desire for founders to be together, one is always there. It's definitely there, and we're capturing it. But back in 2020, when we first started, it was more overt. It was definitely there. So if you're thinking about starting a community and you don't literally already have the people around you, um, I don't think you haven't gotten to first base yet. Like first base would be go find where these people hang out in like the digital ether, whether it's on Twitter or Discord or rather like Reddit or Twitter, like the more open platforms, and be amongst them and like be friends, like DM them, like go hang out. Like the fact that I had hundreds of founders I could email, not even just like LinkedIn, but like in a lot like here's what it was like to start day one. I had dozens of founders who were like, Andrew helped me launch my business. They felt like I was going to use the word beholden. Beholden is the wrong word, but like we were one, we're friends, and two, it was my job to serve them, so I got paid. It wasn't like I was doing it out of like, yeah, it was my. But I was like, we had this great relationship, right? And I had built up a reputation and trust with like many people, and then broader than that, I was like in contact with hundreds more, and these are like first degree connections, right? So if you aren't that level of connected into a group, I don't think you really have a community to start just yet, right? You absolutely, and it could be a little less direct and a little more ephemeral, whether it's on social media, right? Like there's obviously lots of tactics, and I'm not a super big social media person, so that's not where I focused and had my credibility, right? But plenty of people do, right? In different arenas, right? Anyway, I think you have to have the sort of like out there credibility before you can bring it inside. That's like the most natural way to community build. I mean, it's either that, I think that's maybe a necessary but not sufficient point. You have to figure out what do they want? Why would they come to you for that thing that community is delivering? And then, I had a third point and it's escaping me. You have to have the people, you have to have the thing that they want. Or frankly, the other option is just to be, like I said, super small and just be like, sweet, we have a text chain of 6 people. Let's see if 7 wants to join, and be super humble about it, no ego, and just start from humble beginnings and then grow. So we didn't take that route. We were a little more like commercial about it because this was a business from the start. But a lot of audience communities aren't businesses. They're just book clubs that become bigger, or like pickleball teams or something, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think
community can mean a lot of things. Like even
totally.
this Discord with all my friends that we all game with. That is our community. It's very local to me. It's very personal to me. It's nothing to do with business, but yeah, it's my community.